Change your heart, change your life, change the planet.
Hey everybody, it's Tim Van Orden, and I am about to finish a run. And I'm thinking as I'm out here that this is one of those days that I'm not excited at all to get out. It was torrential rain this morning, and when the rain finally broke, the humidity hanging in the air is unlike anything I've ever experienced. It is a sauna today. And even though I'm in the woods, there's like a steam hanging in the air. You can probably see how hazy the footage is right now. But I'm climbing up the mountain now. Down below where the river is going through, it's this hazy fog hanging in the air. It's like the river and the woods around it are smoking. So I realized that what I'm doing today, and what I do on most challenging days, is I go fishing. And what I mean is that there's a part of my brain that is the big, powerful, primitive fish, this animal that is sleek and smooth and can move through its environment with enormous speed, power, and grace. And if I try to go into its environment, it's going to dominate me quite easily. I can't breathe down there for very long. I've got a very limited window of being able to submerge into the subconscious, the sub-liquid world that this primitive fish in me lives. And this is willpower. We have a very small amount of willpower that we can control, and it gets quickly used up because the vast majority of our brain, with the vast majority of our energy, is like a slippery fish that's really hard to grasp. And man, is it powerful down there. And if we go into the waters with it, it's going to win. And sometimes it bites. Some of our fish have really big teeth, and they will gang up on us, and they will be like piranhas or sharks and tear us to pieces. Which is why a lot of people are afraid to get in there and take a look, because they've got to go into the darkness under the water and they don't know what's lurking in there. So basically, when I get myself to get out the door on days like this, I'm in a boat. I'm not going to go diving in, but I am going to throw a lure in. I'm going to try to lure that fish into a particular direction. And it may take quite a few casts. I may not get that fish to be interested right away. It may want to stay in bed. It may want to stay home and watch the Olympics right now, rather than being out here and doing what is required to make an Olympic team. So much more fun to watch, right? So I got to cast, and I got to cast, and I got to cast. And I didn't get out the door until after noon. And that's fine, because I got out the door. My fish eventually got interested in the lure. And as I reeled that line in and pulled that lure through the water, I started pulling my fish in the direction of being here. I pulled that fish into the direction of getting dressed, into figuring out which book I was going to listen to, into testing out a new camera that I have that's going to allow me to film the trails without a lot of bouncing. Coming soon. You'll get to see where I'm running every day. And I lured that fish into the car, lured that fish into a little bit of chocolate waiting in the car, and eventually got myself here where I am. And now I've got the fish on the hook. I'm about to start the run. And when you hook a fish, and remember, I'm a vegan, so I'm not advocating that you actually hook real fish. But this metaphorical fish inside of me, when you hook it, you can't yank it into the boat really quickly, because a fish in its environment is incredibly powerful, even a small fish. And it will either tear the hook out of its mouth, which is a horrific thing for the fish. It'll become wounded, and we can easily wound ourselves. We can make ourselves more resistant to the next lure that we throw in there. So next time the fish is like, oh, I had a bad experience with that lure when I bit it, so I'm not gonna go after it this time. You can't trick me like that again. That primitive part of our brain is really, really good at coming up with what they call flashbulb memories, or these really strong, emotionally salient images or patterns that it flags as dangerous. And anytime anything in the environment, the way something looks, the way something smells, the way something sounds, the way my body feels, those flashbulbs can go off and says, no, this is bad. I had a really bad experience in the past, so don't go anywhere near that. So if we try to yank that fish into the boat too quickly, it's going to get scared. It may try to pull away and injure itself, and therefore it will never go after that lure again. You'll never be able to use that technique to get yourself out here on the run again. And also, if you try to reel it in too quickly, it's going to snap the line, because its environment, it has enormous power. Once you get it out of the water, it loses its power. But as long as it's still down there in that subterranean environment or under the water, you can't beat it. So, although if you have help from other people, you can have several lines being cast, and that's a different story. You can get support. But when you're on your own without support, doing this as an individual, motivating yourself, especially if the people in your environment are engaging in different habits, engaging in sedentary habits, engaging in habits of dietary behavior that are causing them to gain weight and be unhealthy. If you're surrounded by a social environment like that, it's going to be more difficult, because they're going to try to get you to conform to what they're doing, because they feel safe when you're not a model for what they're not doing or for what they should be doing. Anyway, back to the fish. You got to reel it in slowly. Otherwise, you'll snap the line, and you've got to let it come to you under its own power. Yeah, it's going to fight and resist, but you're giving it a gentle tug in one direction. And because that tug is not too hard, because that tug is not too aggressive, the fish just kind of has a tendency to go towards you because it's the easier choice. Slightly easier than fighting you, because, like a current in the water, if you hop in a river and there's a current, it's easier to go downstream than it is to turn around and swim against the current. It's fun. It's nice to go downstream. It's easier. But if it's a raging river that you jump into and that current is stronger, you're going to freak out and you're going to try to get to shore as quickly as possible. But as long as the current is gentle, as long as the pull is gentle, we're going to enjoy it, and we're going to hop in an inner tube and go for a ride. Same with the fish. If it's a gentle tug, the fish will not freak out and feel like, okay, I'm getting pulled, so I can swim a little bit easier in this particular direction, but it's still me that's choosing that direction. It's not this aggressive line tugging on me. I'm still making the choice. So we can gently guide our inner fish into an activity, into a behavior, by first luring it, and then slowly, once it's bitten, slowly reeling it in. And before you know it, I'm out here. And what did that reeling in look like? Turning out my book, listening to the book for a few minutes, getting into the book, exciting information to me. And maybe a book that's fact-based or science-based isn't exciting to you, but maybe there's something else you can do. Maybe it's music for you. Maybe it's a mystery or some other kind of interesting listening, a podcast, perhaps. And the idea is I can't listen until I'm out there. And I'm excited to listen, so yeah, I want to get out there so I can listen. And the next thing is maybe taking a picture. I find an interesting spot and I take a picture, and then I look at the picture and I say, wow, this is such a beautiful spot I'm in. And I didn't notice that a few minutes ago because I was worried about the run, starting the run. But now that I'm actually looking at the photograph and thinking what other people are going to think, wow, people are going to love this. Like, I'm out here now in this beautiful forest and I want to share this with people, but I didn't realize how beautiful it was a moment ago until I took the picture. And now suddenly I'm present to it and I'm thinking about other people experiencing it, and that makes it more exciting to me. It makes it more interesting to me. I'm reeling that fish in. And I keep engaging in things that get me present, and I keep engaging in things that help me to enjoy this experience rather than get the run done. it's pulling too hard. And the fish isn't going to like that. It's going to fight back. It's not going to be sustainable. But now my fish has a memory of being lured into something good. And instead of being tugged into a boat and dying, this is kind of a catch and release where I catch my fish, I take it on a run, and then I release it and I let it do its thing. And the fish doesn't have a bad memory because the fish actually enjoyed the ride. So that's what I'm doing. I'm fishing today. And I'm happy and excited, and man, is it humid and sweaty, and I'm loving every minute of it. Now, because I lured that fish in slowly and reeled it in slowly and took it for a nice ride. But let it think that going on the ride was its choice and not mine. All right? I love you guys. I'll see you soon. Bye. I came here with the intention of breaking this course record. Looked it up on Strava. It's a really legit record. The guy that set it beat my record on Blue Mountain, which is north of here, by I think like 30 seconds. So the guy's a serious stud. So to try to take on his record in a longer trail with bigger climb, and he's quite a bit younger, I had my work cut out for me.